Well, good morning, folks. Hey, I was kind of watching the news a little bit and I was a tad bit shocked. So, what you're going to see in the background here is part of the Camp Mystic uh, flooding problem. I understand that Camp Mystic now wants to reopen this summer. Now, what's upsetting about that is there is still one child missing. Okay, they've not moved the location. It's still in the same spot. It could happen again. I mean, that was not the first time it ever flooded over there. Okay, and it probably won't be the last either. So I find it very, very disturbing that one child is still missing. They're already planning on opening the camp. Now, it's been said that this is a camp for rich kids. I mean, there's all kinds of controversy about this particular camp, But no, I just think that reopening and there's still one child missing it's like they have no regard for these parents who lost their children. Can you not give them time to grieve? I mean, I'm basically kind of appalled by it, actually. I really don't know what else to say. Hang on just a second, guys. Let me fix something here. It's having a hard time, I see. I might have to get rid of this background. Here, we'll just go back to this. See if we can fix it this way. Yeah, it looks a little odd. Okay. Oh, come on, thing. It's just giving me hell. A little bit of help this morning. But anyway, I mean, I just kind of am very disturbed about this because I don't think it's right. I just don't think it's right. Okay, well, it's not going to act right, I see. But anyway, I don't think it's right. And no, I don't have any makeup or anything. I just kind of got up and was so basically upset to see that they were going to reopen this camp like this. Let me show you something. It's really terrible, Yeah, here we go.
Child, 8-year-old SEAL Stewart, writing controversy over a Texas summer camp planning to reopen at the same site where 27 campers and counselors were swept away in those deadly floodwaters. The parents of the last missing child, 8-year-old SEAL Stewart, writing camp leaders, quote, to promote reopening less than 3 months after the tragedy while one camper remains missing is unthinkable. Camp Mystic says they're working to implement protocols that comply with the new laws and that they continue to pray that 8-year-old girl is found.
Hold on just a second. Let me show y'all another one.
The Texas girls' camp, where 27 campers and counselors were killed in the historic flood this summer, will reopen next year. Officials say their new camp will be near the one that was devastated in July and will comply with new safety laws. A memorial will also be built. Victims' families say they were not consulted about that. Some accuse Camp Mystic of adding to their grief.
We are just a few days into fall, but already there's 8 inches of snow in Colorado's rock.
So, I mean, imagine if this was your child. Think about it, It's just sad. It's ridiculous. Let me turn this off, guys. All right, get rid of y'all don't need to know the weather, do you? Anyway, so yeah, I'm just really kind of appalled that they're just going to reopen like that. It's like they don't have any regard for the students who are still missing and their families and how they must feel to think that these people are out there at this camp again and their child is still somewhere out there. They have nothing but her suitcase or maybe her toilet. I mean, any little piece of her they found that something that belonged to her, and you're just going to reopen that camp? I think it's terrible. I mean, let's check the safety record of Camp Mystic, to be honest with you. I think that's the first thing that we need to figure out is, has it always been safe? Did they ever have any other problems? Or were the problems just not discussed because it was Camp Mystic where basically, and I'm not being ugly, but you had to have a lot of money to send your daughter there to Camp Mystic. So let's look at Camp Mystic safety, okay? All right, let's look at their safety record. That's kind of important, Let's see. Okay, here's what it says. Camp Mystic passed its last Texas Department of State Health Services inspection just 2 days before the deadly flood, which found no major violations and verified emergency plans were in place. All right. boy. However, the deadly flood highlighted significant safety failures at the camp, leading to parents' pleas for reform and new legislations like the Heavens 27 Act to prevent future tragedies, as many of these cabins were built in dangerous flood zones and preventable safety measures were seemingly absent prior to the flood. The DSHS annually inspected this camp, assessing the factors like emergency plans, qualified staff, and building codes and faculty safety. Really, it's built in the floodplain, but it meets building code. The camp received a passing grade on its last inspection, July the 2nd, with no major deficiencies or violations. Emergency plan status. The state confirmed the camp had required emergency plans for disasters and that these were posted and staff were trained. Okay. While recent inspections showed no issues, records previous years did show violations related to insufficient documentation of experience for riflery and equine instructors. After the flood, this is what happens after. The flooding tragically resulted in the death of campers and staffers due to preventable failures despite the state approval and emergency plans. Legislative reform. In response to the deaths, the Heavens 27 Safety Act was passed, mandating that cabins not be built in dangerous flood zones and requiring more stringent emergency plans. Future safety. Camp Mystic will implement new safety protocols under the legislature when it reopens, focusing on improved safety for children's camps. Now, what I want to know is, where are they rebuilding these cabins at? You know, what's happening now? Let me read the story to you. So this is from Parents of Girls Still Missing from Camp Mystic. Flooding calls for reopening the camp is just unthinkable, and I tend to agree with them, okay? Less than 3 months after the devastating floods tragically killed 27 people at Camp Mystic in Kerr County, Texas, the camp announced it will reopen in 2026 with several, they're going to wait. Well, no, that is next season. That's right. It is 2025. Yesterday morning, I did my live, and I was just going on about safe haven boxes in Texas, and I said, this is 2024, knowing it's 2025. So what I did this morning to avoid that situation was I got my coffee first. Yeah. Anyway, that happened yesterday. It's not going to happen today. But anyway, let me take a drink. So, yes, so less than 3 months. They're going to reopen in 2026 with several families, including the parents of an 8-year-old girl who is still missing after the floods, criticizing the decision. To promote reopening less than 3 months after this tragedy, while one camper remains missing, is unthinkable. Our families remain trapped in the deepest throes of grief, yet our communications treat our never-ending a nightmare as little more than a brief pause before resuming business as usual. Cece and Will Stewart, the parents of the missing child, Cece Stewart, wrote in a letter addressed to the camp leadership on Wednesday. Camp Mystic, a Christian girls' summer camp located on the Guadalupe River in Kerr County, Texas, was hit with devastating floods on July 4th, killing 27 campers and counselors in the middle of the night. Some state leaders and environmental experts told ABC News in July that the number of the cabins were in known flood zones and close proximity to the river, according to the officials from the FEMA map. Yeah, the road map there. The summer camp made the announcement on Tuesday that Camp Mystic Cypress Lake, a sister site that opened in 2021, will open in summer of 2026, while Camp Mystic Guadalupe River will not be able to open by then due to devastating damage sustained earlier this year. The announcement of the partial reopening was emailed on September 22nd to the families enrolled in the 2025 camp. Oh, isn't that nice of them? They're going to open one part, but not the other part. But here's the thing about this. Can the children from the part that's going to be reopened still see the devastation where they remember the loss of their friends in the old part? Are they that close together? I'm not sure, because I don't know that I would be able to send my child there, because I would feel like just the memories of this and the horrific trauma and the PTSD that they had from being in the middle of this would just haunt them if they had to go back to this camp and be able to look across the field or look across the little river section and say, oh, there's where we were last summer when it flooded and killed my friend. I made it out, but she didn't. Can you imagine? No, cannot. So they're saying in a statement, the camp emphasized that Camp Mystic Cypress Lake, which they are planning to reopen next summer, is a separate property that is it's not adjacent to the Guadalupe River and sustained no damage from historical floods. It's not adjacent. That's great to know. In the original reopening announcement, camp officials said the heart of the Camp Mystic has never stopped beating, and they are not only rebuilding cabins and trails, but also a place where laughter, friendship, and spiritual growth will continue to flourish. They also said they would be building a memorial dedicated to the lives of the campers and the counselors lost on 4th of July. As we work to finalize plans, we will do so in a way that is mindful of those we have lost. You are part of the mission and the ministry of Camp Mystic. You mean the world to us, and we look forward to welcoming you back inside the green gates. This is the officials from the letter that they wrote on Tuesday. But CC and Will Stewart said for many families, Camp Mystic's heart stopped beating the moment these 27 girls took their last breath. That's horrific. You know what? It makes me so sad. CC Stewart, 8, is the only camper who has not been located since the floods, with her parents saying recovery teams are still out there every day scouring the river for their child. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad they're still searching for her. Her parents said the camp made its reopening announcement without prior consultation or consent from the affected families. You are preparing to invite children to swim in the very river that may still hold our daughter's body when you plan to reopen the gates, Cece and Will Stewart said in their letter. Carrie Hanna, the mother of 8-year-old Hadley Hanna, a camper who died in the flood, said, "There's only one priority for us right now, and it's finding Cece." Oh, that's so cute. Or finding, I'm sorry, they're calling her Seal. Silly. Okay, Silly. C-I-L-E is what they're calling her. Camp Mystic should be putting every ounce of energy and resources into helping the search. It's unfathomable that girls would be swimming in that river while bodies have yet to be recovered, Hannah says in her statement to ABC News. The parents of Mary Grace Baker, another 8-year-old who died in the floods, told ABC News they were never consulted about a memorial despite the camp suggesting otherwise. An announcement about a memorial does not resolve our safety concerns or address our raw grief. With one child still missing, it is not just insensitive, but unconscionable to invite new campers back to the very place where 27 young lives were lost. This is from Clark and Katie Baker. This is their statement to ABC News. Cece and Will Stewart are asking the camp to halt all discussions of reopening and memorials and instead ensure the missing daughter to be recovered and to fully confront and account for every role in the events and failures that caused the deaths of our daughters. Anything less dishonors the children who were killed while in your care. At a time when their safety and your primary responsibility, the parents wrote in their letters. We will continue to advocate for reforms and demand full accountability, Seal Stewart's parents added. In a statement to ABC News, Camp Mystic said they are in the initial stages of planning this memorial. Hey there, Leslie. Keep it real good to see you this morning. Hey. Yeah, I jumped on this morning. Thought, you know what? This is fresh. It's raw. It's new. I just came across this. I'm like, how can you reopen this camp? My God, how can they do that? What about these other children? What about their families? The thing I don't know is I'm not seeing, and I'm going to investigate this, I've not seen if any of the families have chosen to file a lawsuit because it was preventable. Everybody knew that those little camp, the campsites and the campgrounds, everything, it was built in the flood zone. They all knew it, right? And they didn't, I don't think it, how do you say, that's what I will never understand. How do you pass a safety inspection knowing that what you have built and where these children are staying is built in the flood zone? It is a flood zone for a reason. You're not supposed to build in a flood zone in Texas. If you do, you have to have special insurance and other things that factor into building in a flood zone. You cannot build a ground level building in a flood zone, okay? It's very disturbing, right? So our decision, so here they go. In the statement, they said the initial stages of planning and they have notified bereaved parents. They said they also welcome the participation of families as the process develops. Hey, my baby dogs are over there messing around. I can't see them because I'm in the breakfast room. Anyway, our decision is to partially reopen areas of the camp is informed by our faith and our commitment to continue the nearly century-long mission and ministry of Camp Mystic to provide a Christian camping experience for girls that allows them to grow physically, mentally, and spiritually. The camp says this in a statement to ABC News. The camp said it is working with engineers and other experts to comply with all elements of the recently passed camp safety legislation. Are you telling me there was not a camp safety legislation before? I don't know if I'm going to believe that or not, right? Let me check on that right now. Let's see. What is it? Let's see. Let me see how we can look at this camp safety legislation in Texas. Well, let's just see what it is. See if it was ever there. All right. Wow. Okay, let's see. Here we go. In September of 2025, Texas enacted 3 bills: HB1, Youth Camper Act, SB1, Heavens 27 Safety Act, and SB3 to enhance camp safety, partially for youth camps in flood-prone areas. See, they knew. They absolutely knew. Oh, boy. These laws require camps to develop emergency plans, train staff, and install warning systems, prohibit cabins in floodplains with exceptions, and require rooftop access ladders. The legislation also establishes a state registry for youth camps and a grant program for local governments to fund the warning sirens in flood-prone areas. Wow, these should have already been there. Do you know, this should have never happened. Okay, so the key provisions are emergency plans and training. Camps must create, and hang on one moment. What do you got? No, we don't. So sorry. I went over and they had my crazy little hairbrush about to tear it up. Hey, Woman's Warrior, good to see you. Good to see you today. It must be late in the night where you're at, Woman's Warrior, is it? I mean, I know you're in England, so it must be like, 12-hour difference or 8-hour difference? Lord, girl. Okay, so the camps must create annual update emergency plans, train their staff, and provide safety orientations for campers, especially for flood and tornado risk, which that county itself always had a flooding risk from the river. I mean, when you live by the river, it's 1447 Friday afternoon. Okay, so it is in the afternoon. All right, great. So, I mean, that's always been a flooding area, and they knew it. Cabins are prohibited in FEMA-designated floodplains unless specific conditions are met. Okay, which that usually means they're built on some kind of stilts, just like a house on the beach. It has to be on stilts. Has to be, whatever those specifics are. But you cannot just build a cabin out there on the floodplain on pier and beams, and that's okay. And it's gonna, it's gonna pass. It's not gonna pass. The warning systems. Camps must install and maintain emergency alert systems and weather alert radios. Rooftop access. Cabins located in a floodplain must have rooftop access ladders. Camping coordinators. Each camp must designate a coordinator for emergency preparedness. Why did they already have this in place? They absolutely should have. State oversight. The Texas Department of State and Health Services will enforce these regulations through inspections and can deny or suspend a license. The public warning system, which is going to be SB3, creates a grant program to help cities and counties install outdoor sirens and warning systems in areas prone to flash flooding. There's an online registry. The legislation was a direct response to the fatal flooding at Camp Mystic in July 25, which resulted in the loss of 27 lives. These laws aim to prevent similar tragedies by requiring proactive safety measures and increasing preparedness for the catastrophic weather events. Yeah, Absolutely. Now, Governor Abbott has stepped in on this, which is the governor of Texas if you don't live here. And here's what he has to say about it. Governor Greg Abbott today signed House Bill 1, Senate Bill 1, and Heaven's Gate Senate Bill 3 at the governor's mansion to enhance the safety measurement of Texas summer camps and better protect Texas from catastrophic flooding events. As camper parent Cecilia, and I know, okay, now listen to this, as camper parents. So Governor Abbott has sent his children apparently to this camp is what I'm understanding. I know the powerful role that camps can play in the lives of our children, said Governor Abbott. We know the anxious anticipation to see your children again after dropping them off at camp. Every child who goes to camp should come home to their families, and no parent should ever have to outlive their child or endure the kind of loss today. We are doing more than just changing campgrounds in Texas. We are changing the future of our children. The governor was joined by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Senator Charles Perry, Representative Drew Darby from the Heavens 27 families, and other state officials. So I guess this Heavens 27 is the 27 children that were lost at Camp Mystic. And this is where it's coming from. During his remarks, Governor Abbott stressed the importance of Heavens 27 camp. Yeah. What are y'all saying? Okay. Yeah, Leslie says, opening that camp was like saying the tragedy never happened. I agree with that 100%. I sure do. I think it's horrible. I mean, to me, this seems more like it's about the money, number one, not about the children. Okay? You can't take one season off to really put into place, find this one child that's still missing and put into place all these actions that are needed to bring the camps up to standard so we never have this again. Woman's Warrior says, I agree. These camps could be amazingly beneficial to people of all ages from all walks of life with various issues if they were open for the right reasons. But it appears they are bad. It is bad because this has nothing to do. Okay, this particular camp is considered a children's camp. But let me tell you something right quick about this. Here's the problem with Camp Mystic. And hey, I'm not saying anything. Okay, if you can afford to send your daughter there, wonderful, that's great. But let me tell you something, this camp is not for everybody. The kind of children that go there are like, one of these children was a descendant of the Hunt family. The ketchup people, those type of people goes there. Hang on, let me read something right quick. Okay, Camp Mystic prices. I'll tell you what it is. Okay. Here was the prices for Camp Mystic. There was a $400 deposit is required for each camper's application, right? Then, let's see. Refunds, the deposit is fully refundable by March. Okay, let me see what it says here. Camp dates. Here's the camp dates. We're going to read all about it. So the camp dates were, first term was 4 weeks long, so they would go for 4 weeks. Second term, 4 weeks. Okay, so there's the new camp was Cypress Lake. Okay, and those camp times were 2 weeks. So you had the choice of 4 weeks or 2 weeks, all right? So let me see if I can figure out what the price was for the 4 weeks versus the 2 weeks. Let's see. It's bigger. It's telling you where it's at. Okay, let me go back over here. I want to know what these people were spending for this camp. What was the total cost? Here we go. Reddit has a wealth of information. Okay, it says, I have searched online. It's almost like it's a secret. Someone has to know a number more recent than 14 years ago. Okay, it's not a secret. It says right here. Okay, so here we go. Here's the application for Camp Mystic. All right. So let me see if I can find the price on here. Illegal drugs, that's how you get kicked out. It talks about preparedness for this, that, or the other. But no, it does not tell you what it costs. Let me see if I can find anything that tells you what this costs. Final instructions for family. Okay, here we go. Camp Mystic, final instructions. Online communications, things to do. Okay. There's all these little places. You check off all the events that you want to join in on. Housing area and buses. Because they have buses that pick these kids up from the different locations where they live. So, go directly there, receive your package, drop off your luggage. Okay, parent reports, phone calls. Mail your first letter before camp starts. All right. But here's one thing I don't see. All right, let me see. Preparing for camp, and it gives you the terms. All right. It appears you're right about the money. They are all, okay, listen to what Women's Warrior says. It appears you're right about the money. They are losing, which is disgusting when we see how much they make. They could close and respect the honor of all the lives lost instead of reopening. This camp is very expensive. Now, I'm trying my best to find what it cost. But it's like I'm telling y'all, I don't see anything that says anything other than the $400 deposit. So I don't know if it is like they only tell the people who are going there. I'm not sure. How do you get into Camp Mystic? Let's see what it says. After they complete the second, okay, here's the rules for it. Campers are allowed to attend Camp Mystic after they complete the second grade. Each camper application requires a $400 deposit that's fully refundable up and until March 1st of the year the camper is scheduled to attend. For campers that are on the waiting list, right, the deposit is fully refundable at any time. So there is a huge waiting list for this camp. Listen to this. What famous people sent their children there? Mystic has long been a favorite of the Texas political aristocracy. I knew it. Texas Governor Stan Moody, Bryce Daniel, and John Connolly have all sent their daughters there. Lyndon Johnson's daughters were also Mystic campers, and Lucci unexpectedly took refuge here after the convention. So it talks about the great experience. What famous women went to Camp Mystic? Listen to this. CNN anchor Pamela Brown was a camper at Camp Mystic 30 years ago, so she knows firsthand that it has been a magical place for generations of girls. Today, she's back there covering the aftermath of the flood, so she talks about that. Let's see, now listen to this. In 1987, the Guadalupe River flooded as well, right? This Camp Mystic has been there for a long time. Hundreds of other people along the Guadalupe River and its tributaries that night and morning had to be evacuated. The 1987 Guadalupe flood is unfortunately known for the tragic loss of 10 teenager lives and 33 other injuries when a bus and van leaving a church camp, you know exactly which one it is, all right? When a church camp encountered the floodwaters, you know exactly what camp it was. So this was not the first time, folks. This is the second time that this camp has lost children. Oh my. And it's allowed to reopen? Are you kidding me? In the world? Listen to this. In 1996, a private non-denominational Christian girls camp was, Let's see what's it. It's about 1986. No, that's the second one, Cypress Creek. That's when they opened the other one. So anyway, it wasn't the first time. It was the second time that you've had a camp girls die out there at the Guadalupe River. It's terrible. Let me see if I can find anything else on this right here about the cost, because, it seems to me, let's see, this is the application for employment not to attend the camp. Okay, so they're talking about that. You still find anything that gives us the cost. It's about $7,500 per child. $7,500 per child, and there is a waiting list to go to Camp Mystic. What does that tell you, right? What does that tell you? Now, I'm not saying that, you shouldn't be allowed to send your children to camp. I'm not saying that at all. But $7,500, and we've had 2 times now that people have lost lives at that river that are campers like that. What in the hell? When does it end? And there's a waiting list. That is just amazing. I didn't drink this coffee before I start stuttering. Oh my God. Anyway, I just wanted to jump on this morning and talk about this because I was so shocked when I read the news that they were going to reopen this and that there was still a child missing. I feel horrible. Just horrible. I understand their parents. It is terrible. Why would anyone risk their child's life to go to that camp? I don't know. Do they think it's, when you talk about the floodplain, people say, oh, well, it's FEMA's map and it's a floodplain. Well, floodplain means it has flooded there before. There is different, so the floodplain works like this. I'll explain this to y'all. And I only know part of this because, I've had a magical career. I've been a real estate agent. I have worked in legal world. I've worked in banks. I've worked in mortgage. I've worked in survey and title review. Anyway, I've done all kinds of things. Anyway, in the legal world, basically, because real estate, mortgage, that all goes into banking and legal. So that is my background. But the floodplain or flood maps and what they mean. Okay, I'll tell you something. Hang on. Okay, we'll just do it like this real quick. Oop. Okay, come on. It's like thinking. Woo! Well, why do you have to be such a hard question? It's so early in the morning. Okay, searching. Okay, here we go. Flood maps. Flood maps visually represent areas with different flood risk based on factors like historical flooding, topography, and proximity to bodies of water. Right. They use color-coded flood zones such as high-risk Zone A, Coastal Zone BE, or lower-risk Zone X or Zone B. These maps created by agencies like FEMA are used to inform communities, set building standards, and determine if flood insurance is required for properties. Flood zones, areas with different levels of flood risk, such as it talks about that. The risk level, the likelihood of flooding in a given area are often expressed as 1% or greater. Okay, so 1% or greater each year in high-risk areas, like there's the 100-year flood zone. These presence of rivers, coastlines, and other water bodies that influence the flood risk. The geospatial data, high precision, this is true. High precision hazard maps showing the relationship between the properties and the areas where the highest flood risk is. They knew that was a flood risk, absolutely. They also help the residents and officials understand local flood risk, which is an essential for public safety and preparedness. Hell yes, it is. Hell yes, it is. It also informs developments. They guide building practices and floodplain standards to ensure communities are built safely and resiliently. They assist in making smart investment decisions, planning for maintenance, ensuring robust operations and supply chains. Okay, here's something, climate change adaptation. Now, we all hear about climate change all the time. Flood maps can demonstrate how flood risk may change under different climate change scenarios, enabling better long-term planning. Okay, it talks about how to use the floodplain. And then, you can figure out where you are. If you go onto FEMA.gov, you can find out what area that you're in as far as the floodplain goes. So here's kind of the thing I'm going to say about this. Number one, I know I don't have any makeup or anything, guys. I just jumped on, so I don't really look that great. But anyway, not that matters. Who cares? I'm reporting something I think that's important. And that is, number one, the life of the child that's still missing should be their number one thought every day. Get up, find that child. Quit thinking about your money and that $7,500 per child, which is probably going to go up now because they've had this disaster and they need to recoup some money to rebuild this place, right? So that's probably the next thing that's going to happen. Stop thinking about that. It's okay for these children to find a different camp to go to for one summer. Even though I know a lot of these children that go there, their mothers had went there. It's been a generational thing. For the aristocrats, because that's what this camp is, exactly what this camp is. There are people in this country who could not ever afford to leave a $400 deposit for their child to get on a waiting list to go to a camp that's $7,500 for the time that they're there. Think about that. For some people, $400 makes a difference whether they can eat that month, drive their car to go to work to make some money to feed their family. Everything is so outrageous these days. Listen, I am 65 years old. I've seen a lot of life. I remember back when I was, and this is a true story. I remember back when I was 21 years old, my husband had been killed by a drunk driver. I was fucking poor, okay? We'd been married maybe 3 years. We lived in a podunk little town in Caldwell, Texas, right? He was hit by a drunk driver who had been kicked out of a bar. This was prior to the law in Texas where it changed that says if somebody kicks somebody out of a bar instead of calling the cops, they can be held reliable for the, for the death of whoever they go out and kill. After that, the law came out about that after this happened. What are you saying? Okay. Women's Warrior. Let me say what she's saying real quick. She goes, with your background in finance and law, etc., would you have the skills to research corrupt links between business and government, etc.? Allegedly, you may want to email that answer. I may want to. I can't because you're. Oh, I can't. You're believe you're 65. I would say, well, thank you, Woman's Word. That's so sweet. But yeah, I really am 65. But it's like, okay, so I remember what it was like. I had to move back home. And there was a big lawsuit involved. It was just a huge mess that did not turn out the way people think it would. Okay, what you perceive that would happen is not exactly what happens in these situations, especially way back then. So times have changed, laws have changed, things have gotten better for people who are injured. Things have gotten better. You know, you've been able to hold people responsible for their actions. All right, that things have just changed. So I mean, when you talk about how things are today versus how things were back then, I remember when we could buy gas for 11 cents a gallon. I remember we could buy bread for 50 cents a loaf. I remember all of these different times where people could basically afford to live. Now, I understand that there's always been gaps between, I'm not going to say the classes, I'm just going to say the people. You have high earners, you have middle earners, you have low earners. Okay. It's not, and then there's the different areas that people live in that cause some of that. There's education that causes some of that. There's mental illness that causes some of that. There's drug use. There are all these different factors that factor into life. But I will tell you, people think, oh, it's so much better now. No, it's so much harder now. But when I think about these people paying $400 to get on a list, okay, a deposit on a list to see if they're going to be able to write that check for their child to go to that camp, which now is going to go up because of the disaster. Another thing that's happened over there is that particular county raised their taxes. Okay, they're because of the loss of income and everything else, they raised their taxes by 8%. So if you're a homeowner over there, you're now paying 8% more in taxes for your property than you were before. That seems outrageous, doesn't it? Well, that's the only thing they can do to recoup the money. So anyway, I'm going to let y'all go on for the day, get myself together. I just wanted to touch base about this because I'm upset. I don't think it's right. I think they need to rethink this decision. They need to have a heart about themselves, and they need to think about that child. That camp should not open until that child is found. If it is going to open, they need to move it from that location. Do not put those kids back in that river. That is horrible. I can't even wrap my mind around putting any other campers from that camp into that same river where a child is still missing. No, move the whole camp someplace else. Stop it. Just stop it. But I understand they can't afford to do that because that will cost them more money than it would to rebuild where they're at now. Think about it. Anyway, you all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. And I always say to people, take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Hug your babies. Mm-hmm.